Welcome back, and thank you so much for being here. Lovely to have you join us on this great conversation around leadership and mentorship. I'm your host, Reverend Albert Shitakwa, and I'm joined with my good friend, Reverend Joseph Obwanda, and we are discussing leadership and mentorship. And so, like I said earlier, we would love to hear from you, your experiences as a mentor, your experiences as a mentee, and your questions that you could be having, or comments and feedback to the conversation that we are having right now. Rev, karibu tena.
Asante sana.
And we had paused at a place where, you created a thirst for some, clarity on the difference between an advisor and a coach. And you're saying a mentor is more like a coach.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Every accomplished person has a coach. Mm-hmm. Even the best footballer has a coach.
Yes.
But their coach may not necessarily be their advisor. Mm-hmm. They can get, how did they get into the profession?
Yes.
They may have gotten some career advisors who got them there.
Yes.
But when it comes to now doing the real thing, they needed a coach. Mm-hmm. So in my consideration, an advisor, deals with or rather they present their knowledge, their understanding, and their perceptions about things, which is important.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
However, a coach, whilst he may advise you, and we're talking in the context of mentorship, a mentor is a coach. What they are doing is they are saying that, okay, I hear you want me to guide you on the how of, because the advisor deals with the hows.
Yes.
The coach does not deal with the hows. The coach deals with the why.
Why?
So they take you the journey of, you have come here because you want to be a professional footballer. Is that so? Yes. Great. Let's get to the field. All right? Now, for you to be able to have the proper way of drilling, balancing, and all those things you footballers do, I left football to other people because it will not be in heaven. But the point is...
I can see how you're consoling yourself.
But the point is, the coach, knowing what you as a mentee, the mentor knows what you as a mentee have revealed you desire, or have come into their space because you desire to realize, then their part is to get you to develop the capacities, and that is what the coaching is. So they create platforms, they impart to you the virtues, values, and principles, which is basically giving you the meanings. And that is not detached from the reality of what you want. So in essence, or let's just even put it in a different way, an advisor or even like a counselor, they always begin from your past. A coach begins from your future. So when you come to me to advise you, I can easily start probing you. Okay, so where have you been? What was happening in your past? Okay, that's very important. Okay, good. That's a counselor. That's a good advisor. But a coach, they may not care a hoot about your past. You came into this space because you've already decided you want to become better.
It's where you're going.
Where are you going? Okay, so if you're going to get there, then these are the attitudes you cannot entertain. This way of responding to correction cannot happen. These are the exercises you need to be taking. You need to be drilled into this, not just skilled. You need to be drilled into these things. And that to me is the submission I can make about that. Because I've seen many people, they transact the responsibility with the advice. Or they exchange the advice of the mentor with their responsibility. So when a mentor, that's why you get the tragedy is many people in the name of mentorship, they have ended up becoming the carriers of the baggages of their mentors. So you carry the baggages of your mentor. They passed on, in short, their advices, which they give you, which are their experiences explained, right? And their exposure. So what happens is, you find a mentor keep quoting the mentee.
Yeah.
A mentee keeps quoting, the mentor. Oh, my mentor told me, my mentor told me. What are you saying? You are passing the responsibility of this truth to the mentor. But when you come to a place where you are taking responsibility for your using that principle that you are taught, because every principle that the mentor parts to you,
you now assume responsibility.
Absolutely. Principles from a mentor have a short shelf life. They must be used as and when given. They're like medicine. You cannot say, okay, this is a good advice, I'll use it in the future. No. For mentorship, it is less, this is what I've taught you. Because the idea is, we use the acronym for the Heshimika Excellency Mentorship Program. We use the IDEA, and I learned that from Dr. John Maxwell, to give him credit. That instruction, right? Or you may, if it's instruction, then demonstration, then experience, then assessment. So I say, okay, son, you want to do this? Instruction. I give you the instructions or information concerning that area. You come asking me the whys of it, then I impart to you the whys of it. I give you the gist of it, insights. And then I demonstrate, or I create a space where, and this can take anything between, I mean, it's not an instant thing.
No.
So I say, okay, so when you teach or when you impart the principles, the mentee understands that these are not for future use, it's for use now. Then you as a mentor must model those principles. That's where demonstrate them in your life. So the mentee is watching you living in consistency with what you instructed. All right? And then you let the mentee also experience the same. You can even give them a medium. You say, okay, you remember how I taught, what you talked about? And remember how you've seen me watch, do it? That's same what so Paul tells Timothy. Then you create exposure. You say, okay, I'll love you to take the pulpit and use the principles I taught you of communication and what I demonstrated to you, they do it. Once they have the experience, it's very important.
And when you say that, it's not copy and paste. It's the why, now you apply it.
You're using the why with your own way.
Yes.
Become ingenious, but you have the why.
Yes.
So I don't want to micromanage your creativity. I don't want to clone you, to speak like me, but the why should be consistent.
Yes.
And then the final one is we must come back. Let's do assessment. So you felt not confident, you have messed in this area, you've done this. Okay, good. Let's go back to the principles. Which of the principles do you think you did not adhere to, or did you break? All right? And when you saw me modeling that, I may have also goofed. All right? You should not have learned from my you should have learned from my goofs not to goof. So sometimes I can even demonstrate by goofing. Because you watch everything.
And then you learn from
that's
both
the point.
The strengths and the weaknesses.
Absolutely. And Paul, and even our Lord Jesus Christ is an example of that. He imparts the principles to his disciples. They understand the why of what what they're supposed to do. They go do it. They come back and they watch the master do it. They come back and then they do assessment. And they say, Lord, even the demons, wow, they're submitting. I say, then they say, okay, relax. You guys are starting to get it. You know,
and then
the bigger principle that you must not forget, it reminds them, is not that the demons are submitting to you, but that your name is written in the book of life. And the same to Paul. He mentors Timothy by instructions, and he imparts to him the principles, and then he says to him, these things you've learned from me, and you've seen me do these things, and teach them to faithful men who is not qualified to teach them to others.
I hope you got that idea, acronym, the acronym IDEA. Information or instruction, demonstration where you model, experience where you create a platform and exposure, and then assessment where you get feedback. You know, these are important aspects of coaching or mentorship, as it were, as we continue to discuss. Now, there's a question that came that I think I would want to ask before I forget it, and then we can go on. And that is, can you have somebody mentor you of the opposite gender?
Absolutely. It's very possible. Because remember, the reason why we are talking of principles is so that you don't get emotional. Because it does not matter the color of the cat that catches the mouse, so long as the mouse is caught. You may want a black big cat to catch it, but the black big cat is so lazy and so insecure, and the mouse is running around. But a white agile cat says, wow, then jumps. And so the point is, you must have boundaries.
Yes.
Because it's a question of principles.
Yes.
And this is what I say. When your mentor moves from principles, which they hold and they embody,
Yes.
and they start becoming emotional and subjective, and wink at certain things, they say that was for pulpit, that was not. Be careful.
Yeah.
And you're watching. And again, remember, the essence of every relationship is in definition.
Yes.
What you define determines what you find. So if my relationship with a lady is defined as I'm her mentor, she's my mentee, it's very clear.
Yeah.
When she starts referring to me in terms, in a manner to suggest that this relationship has been redefined, oh, sweetie, honey, I know what you're defining is what you want to find.
Yes.
So when you define me as honey, won't you have a claim to finding honey? You get? And so even for ladies who are mentored by men, you must be careful when the man starts referring you in a manner to suggest that this is becoming platonic or becoming a bit it is going off the rails, because the mentor is a human.
You can tell.
Yeah, the mentor is a human.
Yeah, you can tell it's going off the
Absolutely.
rails. Yeah.
And so you that's why, in fact, of most importance in that regard is that you must be able to know the character of the mentor, because if you only are attracted to somebody to mentor you because of their charisma attracts, but it's character that keeps.
Yeah, and that's why we are talking about the VV.
Yes,
piece.
VV piece.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
virtues and principles.
Values and principles.
Yes,
because unless somebody becomes a role model, not in terms of charisma.
Yes.
But the charisma is secondary. Character is primary.
Yeah, but also we need to balance this, bro.
Yeah.
That when you're being mentored by an other gender, let's say, okay, opposite gender. It has to be opposite gender, not other gender.
Not other gender.
Yes. When you're being mentored by an opposite gender, the boundaries must be very clear.
Yeah.
And the threshold of accountability, not just to the two of you, there must be other parties who are privy to what relationship you have with that person.
Yeah.
So if you're a younger person, maybe under the patronage of your parents should know who is your mentor.
Yeah.
If you're married, your husband or your wife must know who is
your mentor or what nature of relationship.
Because they understand, then they will know what it's about.
Yeah.
And also because remember, when a mentee comes to me, I would like you to mentor me.
Yeah.
The first question I'll ask them is, what don't you have that you think I can help you get? In other words, you must recognize what's your gap.
Yeah.
So that there's a sense from the vulnerability, from the sense of what is it that you need. Then I can easily tell you that is not what it's about.
Now, the next question that I would like to ask, and then now we can get to the comments and the feedback, which I hope you are sending. Your thoughts, your feedback, your questions, your experiences, we can be able to look at them in the few minutes left in the show. The question I want to ask, because I know these are questions people tend to ask, so I'm asking on behalf of, is a mentorship relationship, does it have a time frame, lifespan, time frame?
It's a yes and a no. A yes, because there is a level at which you are, say, you are consolidated in the VVPs, so that you also need to be reproducing yourself in somebody. And Paul presents that very clearly. That he tells Timothy, the things you've learned from me, almost to say, there was an end of the lessons. So, and you took the exams and you passed. If you've graduated, what are you still doing in the university? All right? So you now go and do the same to others. But does that mean that you don't have a relationship with me? No. So in that sense, there's a point, let's say there's a transitioning, but not a termination.
I like that.
Yeah.
Transitioning, not termination.
Yes.
And,
Okay.
and also, it means the mentee needs to realize that I've gotten to a place where I also need to pass on the same things I'm learning.
Yeah.
But then the mentor should also get to a place to appreciate that the mentee has grown to a place that this relationship has, there is a transition.
Absolutely.
Those
It's very important.
dynamics need to be at play.
Yeah, so in that sense, it's both a yes and a no. I mean, and if you look at scriptures, Elisha, Elijah, they came to a point where Elisha was stuck not to live. Even when Elijah wanted to get rid of him, he said, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm not going. The disciples of Jesus, John 6, at one point, they left him.
Yeah.
But Peter said, Lord, where do I go? You have the words of life. So for him, he valued that transaction and or rather that transmission of virtues, values, and principles of Christ was something he could not disassociate himself from.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember Jesus saying, having been with them for a while, I no longer call you servants, I now call you. So there's a transition.
That's a transition. It keeps going to another level so that, in fact, it's interesting. It can come to a level where the mentee ends up even becoming a mentor to the mentor. You get it?
That's an interesting
Yes.
dynamic.
In fact, it's what we now call reverse mentorship, right? Because the truth of the matter is, today, and I'm saying this with all humility, say your bishop has mentored you or has created, instructed, demonstrated, gave you experience, and you've assessed, and to the point that now you have certain things better mastered than possibly he has. I'm saying possibly is a big word here, all right? So that you're safe, all right?
You're going to dangerous
I know,
territory.
I know. However, it has to be, I mean, so he has to recognize that you too can now teach him or impart certain things that you have also gained out of you, building from what the foundation he laid for you, right? And I'm trying to think of a quick biblical or functional example to this. Let's think of someone, okay, let's look at people like the mighty men of David, all right? These people came, joined themselves to David. They accomplished so many things under David, and it ended up that now David was looking up to them. So that now they were actually helping David to achieve the purposes of God for his life. But it takes a lot of humility on the part of the mentor to appreciate that you can learn something from the mentee.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let me now look at a few comments here. Someone called Nemo Nesh is saying 1 Peter chapter 4, 12 to 13, partaking of Christ's suffering, and has given several scriptures, in reference to possibly our discussion. And then Leis Jumba, only powerful people submit. That was a profound truth right there that you mentioned in the course of our discussion. Only powerful people submit. So submission is not for the weak. Then God doesn't squander experiences and resources. True. God doesn't squander. He doesn't believe in waste, and so he doesn't squander. Melvin is saying, great insights. Melvin Murubi, thank you for your feedback, each one of you. And a mentor is a coach, not an advisor. All right? Doreen Eunice is asking, I would like to know the difference between an advisor and a coach. This is insightful. I believe we have already, defined that. Celine Opio is saying mentorship is a relationship, and relationships are expensive.
Yeah.
Good observation. There is a cost to relationship. There is a price to pay. There is investment in terms of time. So yeah, thanks so much for your feedback. And then Pastor Maria Wekesa, I'm learning a lot. So that's on Facebook. You know, some of the feedback we are getting from Facebook quickly. I'll just check YouTube and then we can be able to continue. You know, as we, or probably we could be able to just go on with something else as we go to the YouTube page. So, you know, we've covered a bit in terms of some of the areas of mentorship. So let's get to a practical aspect. You have a mentorship program that you take people through. You know, that's a formal.
That's a formal, yes.
So there's a, that's what I wanted to bring out is that you can also enroll and join in formal mentorship, you know, vehicles.
Yes.
As much as, so does everybody who come into that formal program end up being your mentee?
The principles of the relationship dictates that then it's that kind of a process. Yes. Because as I said, we adopt the idea so that we do not transact your responsibility with the instructions, or rather with the, what we're saying is that we've delineated certain areas out of experience over the last 3 decades, and let's say in particular about the last 10 years, where I have embodied, passionately expressed and imparted the virtues, values, and principles of excellency to the society. And therefore, there are people who have asked, how can we submit to you in a way that we can also receive the same, you know, graces, so to speak. And therefore, the Heshimika Excellency Mentorship Program exists for that. So it's a framework where the coaching does happen. So it's not a lecture. It's not a doling of advices. It's not motivational talks. It is hard life issues. We look at excellency of conscience, for instance, and we look at why do you find yourself struggling with the sense of right and wrong? What is this about? And you find yourself becoming vulnerable because you have to talk about your guilt and about your condemnation. And then we guide you, or we engage with you in probing how do you build the capacity using the principles that are there in multidisciplinary way, biblical principles, psychological principles, or administrative leadership principles, so that you are able to live with a healthy conscience. And it goes to the 7 pillars of excellency: conscience, character, conduct, constant improvement, community, creative change, and competency. So once you have those 7 C's of excellency within the framework of the 3 modules, personal, professional, and patriotic, it's a 4-month program. So the first 2 months, we basically deal with the idea and demonstration. The last 2 months, you now do you experience, we signpost you, or we charge you to come up with the IESRP, Individual Excellency Social Responsibility Project, which you have to implement to address the mediocrity issue in your space. And you build the capacity. So by the time we do assessment and commission you, along with my co-commissioner, Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, we believe that now you become a champion of excellency. And that's how, as we say, you can teach people what you know, but you produce who you are. Yeah.
Awesome. YouTube feedback. Sam K is saying, a mentor gives access to new levels to a mentee. Naomi Wairimu, just tuned in and learning. How do you identify one? I believe, how do you identify a mentor? And maybe you could answer that in a moment.
Yeah, one, the person has to be a role model. A role model is like what you see yourself being and doing, what they are and what they are doing. So when I see myself doing and being what, let's say, PLO is, then that is a possibility he can be my mentor. However, we must qualify this. Not every container has the right content. Right?
Repeat that.
Not every container has the right content. So don't just be attracted by the charisma or a role model, a celebrity. No, there's more to just what meets the eye. It's the character. So you're being attracted to the character, and the character is what we are calling, what are their virtues.
Yeah.
And it takes time. So you don't just, it's not an event. Like any relationship, you don't go into relationships, you grow into relationships.
Yeah,
There are times of prayer, discernment, and most importantly, it's about you. You relate with yourself in that person. It's not that person to you, it's you to that person. So you see, I see Reverend Albert, I see the virtues. He is kind, he's patient, he's loving, and I would love to be that. I see myself already being like Albert. So what do? I submit to him and ask him, sir, why do you become patient? Explain to me why you have not done this, or why you have done this, or why do you do this? So I keep getting, when I get the whys, I'm getting the principles. Because the virtues are observable, values are observable. You said virtues are who you are, values are what you do or not do, and principles are the whys. Yeah, so to get a mentor, in the formal, and I said even if it's formal, it still has to be informal, which is to mean
within
it must be authentic.
There has to be some informal.
Just like I'm in the university, and we have students who enroll. So for all intent, they are supposed to be mentors. They're supposed to be mentored. Because the idea of university was supposed to be mentorship, apprenticeship, not education. One physicist said the only thing that interferes with learning is education. Right? So when they come in there in the formal sense, it now means you must discern what are the virtues of that lecturer. What are their values? And why are they transmitting those principles? So when you are listening to the lecture, you don't ask the hows. You ask, okay, but sir, why did so-and-so say that this and this? Okay. Then you research further and you keep on expanding knowledge. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, there is so much to learn about mentorship, leadership and mentorship, but I think I really have appreciated the wealth of information, revelation that has come through in this discussion. You are an author.
Yeah.
And you've packaged a lot of these principles in a book.
Yes.
Your latest book, Accelerations. Can you tell us about, some of the books, and quickly in the next 2 minutes, because we are going to be done.
Yeah, I think immortalizing what you are persuaded about. An author believes that they are an authority on something. I have, with the humility, believed that I have something to say about matters excellence and excellency. And therefore, about 15 years ago, I published the first book, Become Your Excellency, which is basically principles and concepts of authentic, personal and professional significance. And now, in due course, several books have authored. Time valuation, why you should not waste time managing time. Just manage your values, and time will always gravitate around your values. Growth reset, stop groaning, start growing. But more, I'm excited about the compendium. This is, I don't know the camera can show it. Okay.
Can show it.
Yeah. So Accelerations is a fusion of two words, excellency, inspirations, in which I've curated the 26 letters of the alphabet into 26 concepts of excellency, inspiration, from attitude to Z or Z for zest. And so it's a devotional of kind for a year long. Every week you look at each concept for 2 weeks. I mean, every 2 weeks, each concept. And by the end of 52 weeks, you've covered the 26. And you've internalized the excellency inspirations. And currently we are running a mentorship, would I say, a vibes, acceleration vibes every fortnight. It's online, so one can check on Heshimika Excellency Initiative or Joseph Obwanda on Facebook, and
So
they'll be
that's
able
how
to
they
get.
can find you.
That's how they can find
Joseph
me.
Obwanda
And you
on
can
Facebook.
inbox me, and I will be happy to have you. Or you can check at Nuria stores in the city, and you'll be able to get the books.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been an amazing, powerful, transformational, I believe,
Thank you.
conversation that we have had on leadership and mentorship. I believe you have enjoyed the conversation. You have learned a lot. And I believe that, we can be able to now embrace with clarity leadership and mentorship. As leaders, we can begin to see how to mentor. As mentees, we can identify and submit ourselves to mentorship. That will be of great help in our journey. Otherwise, thank you for joining. See you next week, same time, same place. God bless you.